Fear never knocks. It slips in quietly, like a whisper beneath the noise, like a shadow creeping across the walls of your mind when no one else sees. It doesn't scream, it doesn't rush, it waits. Waits for the moment your heart starts to question what's ahead. Why does fear grip us so easily? Why does it feel so convincing or so familiar? And what if we've misunderstood it all along? What if faith is not the absence of fear, but the bold decision to walk through it? This isn't just a message. This is a holy disruption, a gentle awakening of something eternal inside you, a journey from trembling to trust. Because tonight, we stop running. Tonight, we stop bowing to fear, and we start listening to the deeper voice, the one that says, "You were made to rise." Before we go deeper, if your spirit is already stirring, hit like, subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below, "I trust your timing, God," because sometimes writing that declaration is the first step to silencing fear. And maybe, just maybe, God brought you here for this exact moment. Now take a breath, we're just getting started. Fear is clever. It doesn't show up wearing horns, it shows up wearing armor, pretending to protect you. It speaks softly, almost lovingly. It tells you not to take risks, not to step out, not to trust too much, hope too deeply, or dream too wide. It whispers, "I'm here to keep you safe." But safety can become a prison with no locks, just invisible bars. Fear disguises itself as wisdom, as logic, as strategy. It makes you doubt every open door, every God-sent opportunity, convincing you that stillness is safety, when in reality it's stagnation. Imagine a bird, a magnificent bird, wings designed to dance with the wind. But she stays in the nest, year after year, because someone once told her the sky was dangerous. That bird isn't broken. She's just listening to the wrong voice. And maybe so are you. You see, fear doesn't want to protect you, it wants to tame you. It doesn't care about your destiny, only your delay. It wants you to believe that standing still is noble, but staying still doesn't mean you're faithful. Sometimes it just means you're afraid. Fear may sound wise. It may wear the robes of reason, but listen closely. That voice, it's not your shepherd. The shepherd leads forward. He doesn't paralyze. He calls you out of the boat, into the waves. He doesn't promise calm seas. He promises his hand when you step. So ask yourself, whose voice have you been following? Because the one that keeps you stuck, the one that always says, "Wait, not yet, what if," might not be the voice of God. And here's the truth no one told you. Fear will wrap its arms around you like a friend, while slowly stealing everything sacred. Now lean in, because the chains you thought were protection might be the very things holding your purpose hostage. And in just a moment, we'll talk about the only way out, but it won't look the way you expect. Stay with me. We love control. We crave it. We chase it like it's a lifeline, believing that if we can just plan enough, predict enough, protect enough, we won't break. But control is a mirage. It shimmers like certainty, but disappears the moment you try to grip it. The truth is, we were never meant to manage life. We were meant to move through it, with faith as our compass. And here's the paradox no one wants to face. Faith doesn't begin when you're ready. It begins when you're not. Not sure, not certain, not steady. It's in that moment when the path disappears beneath your feet, and your hands are empty, and the night is too quiet, that real faith is born. You see, we often wait for clarity to move. But clarity is not a prerequisite for calling. Obedience doesn't always come with a map. Sometimes it just comes with a whisper. Trust me. And that whisper, it rarely makes sense, because faith is not built in the light. It's discovered in the dark, when nothing makes sense, but you move anyway, when the door closes, but you keep knocking, when the storm doesn't stop, but you keep rowing. When the miracle delays, but your praise rises louder, that is faith. But listen carefully. This kind of faith, it's dangerous to your comfort zone. It offends your logic. It dares to move without guarantees. It smiles in the face of the unknown and says, "Even here, I will walk." Because what if the reason God allowed the chaos wasn't to punish you, but to position you, to remove every illusion of control so you could finally cling to what is unshakable? What if letting go is not a loss, but the beginning of something sacred? You may think you're falling apart, but heaven sees it differently. Heaven sees you being rebuilt from the inside out, not with certainty, but with trust. And in the next breath, we'll go even deeper. Because once control is gone, what comes next will either break you or baptize you. But that depends on one thing: don't move. You need to hear this. Let's be honest, fear has written too many chapters of your life already. It told you when to stay quiet, when to back down, when to shrink, even when your spirit was begging to rise. And maybe along the way, you started believing that fear was right, that you really weren't enough, that your dreams were too reckless, that your mistakes were too big, that your anxiety disqualified you from peace. But hear this: you are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are not the storm that tried to drown you. You are not the voice that told you you'll never make it. You are not the failure. You are not the fear. You are the survivor, the one who's still breathing, still searching, still hoping. And that alone makes you dangerous to the darkness. You've walked through fire, and maybe you still smell like the smoke of last season's battle. But don't confuse the ashes on your skin with the identity on your soul. Your future is not defined by what scared you. It is shaped by the one who calls you beyond it. Fear may have a voice, but it does not have a pen. It does not get to write your ending because you're not finished. Your story is still unfolding. And guess what? God writes the best plot twists. When you think the story is over, yes, there were setbacks, but they weren't stop signs. They were sacred detours, designed not to end your destiny, but to refine it. So don't let fear frame your future using the failures of your past. Don't let yesterday's wounds decide who you become tomorrow. You were not created to live stuck in the echo of your worst day. You were not built to remain small. You were created to walk with purpose, to rise with boldness, to look fear in the face and say, "You don't get the final word." Now pause for a moment, because what's coming next is the truth fear doesn't want you to hear. A truth so dangerous, so liberating. It can break the chains that have held you for years. Ready? Then take a deep breath and keep listening. Courage. It's not loud. It's not always fierce. Sometimes it's a whisper that says, "I'll try again tomorrow." You've been told that courage feels fearless, that it roars like a lion and never trembles. But that's not always true. Real courage doesn't wait for fear to vanish. It walks straight into the fire, with fear still clinging to its back. Courage is showing up with shaky hands. It's speaking when your voice cracks. It's loving when your heart has been shattered. It's standing when everything in you says, "Just give up." Because courage isn't about how strong you feel. It's about what you choose, in spite of how weak you feel. You see, faith isn't fragile. It's not glass you protect. It's fire you carry, and fire walks differently through flames. There's a mystery here. The fire doesn't burn those who carry water from the well of faith. It purifies them. It refines them. It teaches them how to glow in places where others only collapse. And maybe, just maybe, that fire you're walking through right now, it's not sent to destroy you. It's sent to reveal the gold that was hidden underneath all along. You are braver than you feel. You are stronger than the voice that told you to sit down. You are not fragile. You are not broken beyond repair. You are being shaped, strengthened, prepared, and hear me. Your faith isn't weak just because you feel scared. Faith doesn't mean you don't cry. It means you cry, but you still walk. And every step you take through that fire, every moment, you choose trust over terror. You are telling hell, "I will not bow." You're not walking alone. You've never been walking alone. The flames that rise around you, they can't consume what God has already claimed. So don't let the heat convince you to turn back. Don't let the smoke blur your vision. You are not the one being destroyed. You are the one being delivered. But we're not done yet, because before this fire fades, you need to know one last truth, a truth that changes everything. If you dare to believe it, stay with me. You won't want to miss what's coming. There's something sacred that happens when you choose to move, even if it's slow, even if your steps are unsure, even if your hands are shaking and your knees are weak. Heaven doesn't wait for your perfection. It responds to your movement. When a child of God takes a step, no matter how small, the heavens lean in, angels stand at attention, the atmosphere begins to shift. Why? Because faith, even trembling faith, is louder than fear in the courts of eternity. You may feel unseen, unheard, like your prayers have evaporated into the sky. But listen, not one of them has gone unnoticed. Not one tear has hit the ground without echoing in heaven's halls. God is not silent when you trust him. He moves when you move. He breathes life into the impossible, not when you figure it all out, but when you dare to step anyway. And that mountain, the one that has loomed over you for years, the one that whispered, "You'll never pass me," it has been waiting, not for your strength, but for your yes, because mountains don't move for pride, they move for faith. And here's the truth. The enemy hopes you never discover. Your obedience in the dark is more powerful than 1,000 plans in the light. You may feel small. You may feel unqualified, but when you move forward in faith, even if you're afraid, even if you're uncertain, heaven roars behind you, winds change, walls fall, and yes, mountains begin to tremble because you're not walking alone. You're not just stepping into the unknown, you're stepping into divine alignment. And when earth aligns with heaven, when your feet walk in rhythm with eternity, nothing stays still. So take the step, not because you're fearless, but because you're called, because you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to move your foot. When you move forward in faith, even with shaking hands, mountains notice, and they begin to move. But don't go yet, because there's one last truth you need to carry with you, a truth that will seal this message in your soul forever. We're almost there. Let's finish this together. Fear will knock. It always does. But you don't have to open the door. You don't have to entertain the lies. You don't have to sit with the silence of doubt. You don't have to let fear hold the pen, because faith doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what you choose. And now you stand at the edge, not just of this video, but of a new chapter, one where your courage is no longer borrowed, but born from the fire you survived. So hear me in your spirit. This is the moment everything shifts, not because you feel ready, but because you've seen the truth. You were never meant to be ruled by fear. You were meant to rewrite the atmosphere with your faith. Right now, heaven is waiting, not for your perfection, but for your decision. So I ask you, will you let fear keep writing your story? Or will you place the pen in the hands of the one who never fails, because he's ready? And so are you. Drop this in the comments. I choose faith, even in the fire. Let the darkness see your declaration. Let the heavens echo it back to you. And when the storm rises again, when the night falls quiet and the fear creeps close, remember this: faith doesn't promise a storm-free life, but it does promise you'll never walk alone through it. Now go, stand taller, pray louder. Move forward. Your story isn't over, it's just beginning. Now share this video because someone else needs this fire too.